I met Robert Gage at an outdoor recreation event, along with his business partners, Danny and Jenny Israel. They were getting ready to launch their brand new business, Black Bear Unlimited. Each time I speak to Robert, he has 5 more ideas about how to promote Farmington. We discuss those ideas, refine them, then he runs off to coordinate with more people. Before you know it, he's back with 5 more ideas. His previous ideas are moving forward, and we repeat the process. Robert, Danny, and Jenny also created Black Bear Promotions with the intent to put a ton of energy into promoting Farmington, our local area, and all it has to offer. He wants Farmington to be a destination for anybody interested in outdoor recreation. While that's a big undertaking, Robert still finds time to work on projects like the Senior Project that captures stories and histories of our senior citizens before those stories are lost. He also spends time working on the Re-Entry Project that looks to provide the resources and support to take people off the streets, give them back their pride, and re-enter them into society. That's a lot to cover in a short amount of time, but I'm going to stick them in the truck and give it a shot. Want to see how it goes?
Come along for the ride in Ken's Think Tank. Ken's Think Tank is made possible by the following sponsors.
Ken Collins Marketing. It's simple. We help small business owners get more customers. Robert,
Yes,
we just picked you up from your brand new shop.
brand new shop.
Brand new shop, Black Bear Unlimited.
Black Bear Unlimited, a
Yeah.
monster project. Yeah.
So you just started that this year, right?
We did. We actually started it. We started the prep for the whole thing several years ago. And the whole genesis was moving from our jobs, which are power plant and oil field related, to something else that has a foot in Farmington, and we love to do.
Right.
And of course, if you do anything in Farmington outdoors, then it's bicycling and motorcycle riding and RCs and
Right.
it's hot rods and rock crawling and fly fishing. And so what we had intended and where we ended up is just a company that's an outdoor recreation company.
Right.
And so we are the only permitted licensed guides with the BLM to go out to Choke Cherry and Largo Canyon. We're the first permitted licensed guides that have ever been in Farmington for Choke Cherry.
That's awesome.
My business partner, Danny Israel, and his wife, Jenny, have decades in Farmington. If you're in Farmington and you're an off-road person, you know Danny. And so it's just been a dream of his to have a shop and to have a company that gives them a chance to go out and and crawl around Choke Cherry all day long and get paid for it.
Right?
You can't ask for a better job than that, right? So, and my transition out of the power plant, of course, our P&M's closing in about a year, and so I need to move into something that pays the bills, and why not do something I love? And so, kind of an old hot rod guy, and so our shop is so many. It's multifaceted, several things under one umbrella. We're moving into promotions, which is a new part of the company, and the promotions really are just what a promotions company would do if you are an outdoor recreation related company and we're in Farmington. So we're promoting Farmington, and it's all about and I hate to coin the phrase, but it's Farmington Unlimited, right? So Black Bear Unlimited decided to support everything outdoors in Farmington. So I kind of loosely call the idea Farmington Unlimited only because it's got a great ring to it. If you can do anything in any other city, you can do it in Farmington. Right. And the only thing you can't do in Farmington is deep sea fishing. Right. It's just everything else is here. And if you can do it somewhere else, why not do it in Farmington? Why not? That's our whole idea. And of course, Farmington's a destination for so many things. It's top 10 trout waters in the country. It's easily the top 3 rock crawling destinations in the western half of the United States, Moab and Sand Hollow. And Moab's got the cachet of 30 years, 3 decades of quirky shops downtown, and everybody going there as a bucket list destination. But a lot of folks back east see Farmington as a bucket list for rock crawling.
Yeah,
and,
definitely. You know, it's hard to think of this area like that when you live here. Yeah. But, you know, I interviewed Lauren Healy, and, you know, pro racer, rock crawling and cross-country off-road racing. He said, you know, he's ridden some major trails and rock crawling areas and tracks and everything all across the country, and this is his favorite, Farmington.
You know, the beautiful thing about Farmington is that you have everything everything's close to town. You can go out in Moab and you can run a 20-mile trail, and you might have a great obstacle every half mile or every 3 miles, and at the end of the day, you're 30 miles from town. Right. But Farmington, at the end of the day, you're 10 minutes from Burger King, and you had all that great stuff in a 3-mile trail. Right. So yeah, Lauren's a monster in the industry. You're not going to find anybody that's a better advocate for racing and rock crawling. He's done it all, and he's done it at the pinnacle. Right. Yeah, the best of the best.
Right. We travel the whole country and even down to Mexico to go off-roading, so to speak. And Farmington is still my favorite place. Yeah. Out of all these places we go to go race, you know, we go to Johnson Valley, we go all these really cool places, and I still love to come home to Farmington and go four-wheeling in Farmington any day of the week.
Your Black Bear Promotions in particular is not just working on promoting your company. You're promoting the entire area in various aspects of it.
Absolutely. Right. So it's the idea that a rising tide lifts all boats.
Right. Again, the holistic view of thing, and like you put it, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You're just trying to raise the tide.
The old adage, it takes a village, is got a lot of truth to it. It takes a city. It takes a town, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. I love Farmington. We moved here when I was 5 years old. My father taught at Tibbetts Junior High for 25 years. My mother's a nurse at the hospital for 25 years. And, you know, I've got a group of friends that I've known since I was a child, and my father's students are everywhere. And we moved back home at the end of my parents' life to help take care of him. And, you know, 3 of my brothers moved back with me, and we've all just decided that, you know, Farmington was home all along. We just never really realized it. So,
you just didn't always live here.
Yeah, never always lived at home. So I've lived in a half a dozen places, that were great places but weren't as good as Farmington.
Right.
And so here we are, you know, back home again.
Because you're hopping, man. You just must think that you just have to fill every single minute of every single day with something, right? So you got all these things doing with a new business, which is not, I mean, that will always keep you hopping.
Huge baby, yeah.
But further, you're doing something you're calling the Senior Project?
The Senior Project, yeah, that's kind of a pet project. So my mother had 6 sisters. So there were 7 sisters, and like a lot of families, you know, we were all spread apart, and I knew them a little bit. I got to see them a little bit, and I never really got to know them. And so there's years of family and connections that I just never got to make. And so they're all gone, my mother as well. And there was one sister left. She's 86, Celia, out in California. She was the aunt that had the little red Opel Manta or Opel GT hot rod when I was a kid.
Yeah, nice.
I blame all my speeding tickets on her. And she's a little bit on the crazy side. In California, there's a legal code called 5150. Yeah. And it's automatic 3-day lockup.
Oh, no.
And that's at 86 years old. That's part of her email is 5150. Yeah. So that's my Aunt Celia. So I went out last year, January, to interview her because she's got everything. Everything that's left is her.
Right.
And I set out to just get as much as I could, about history and get it on tape and get her to talk about the family, because there's some great stories about my grandfather and Pancho Villa and you know, getting conscripted coming out of a church when he was a kid. And so I got all that on tape, and when I left, she gave me her photo album, her personal photo album.
Yeah.
And so I've got it all copied, and I'm giving copies of everything to everybody, all the cousins, my family, everybody's got copies of everything. And I realized that everybody's in this position. Everybody has a senior in the family that, you know, we all talk about, man, it'd be great to know, but it's kind of it's the follow through, it's a commitment. It's like, what is step one in your project, in your giant monster project, right?
Right. So,
you know, it's great to make a plan, but at the end of the meeting, if you don't have a step one and take step one, you never get to step two.
Right.
So it's kind of a personal project that I would like everybody to have the opportunity and the means and the location to sit down with the elder in the family and get them on tape and get them to talk about the family history, and in the digital age, make it available to everybody.
Yeah.
And so I've talked to some of the local places where the seniors go, Bonnie Palace, and I've approached the college with it, and they think that it would be a good project for their film department.
Yeah.
And so we're making arrangements for a location to be had within these facilities, and a film crew to come in and to do an interview, and we've got the microphones and the cameras and all that stuff set up.
Right.
So we're just going to give people a chance to sit down with somebody and, you know, start with their childhood, how they grew up, how did your parents meet, you know, what do you know about your grandparents, get some names down and give them a chance to do a little family history.
Right.
It just seems to me that it's one of those things we all talk about doing, but we never really get it done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we've just, you know, I've discussed that within my own family, but we haven't done anything about it. And so and it's partly just, you know, like if there were a thing that existed that they have this organization or this group of people or whatever, they have the equipment, they have the know-how, the thing, just to get it done.
They don't have to put the project together.
Then all it is at that point is just a commitment of, let's do this.
Right. Pick a day.
You just pull the trigger.
Yeah, pick a day, and we do everything for them. So all they need to do is make a phone call, and we show up we do all the scheduling. You pick a day that's good, and the film crew will show up, the interviewer will show up, whoever that is, and if they don't have somebody, it's not hard to go from just a little basic outline of the questions to ask, right? And how to kind of flesh out the questions once you ask them. You get an answer back, and you take a detail out of the question, and you kind of go down that road and ask them some stuff about that road or that subject. And so it's not hard to learn how to become a good interviewer, and all they need to do is make the phone call. We show up with the film crew, and we get an interviewer to ask questions, and the simpler you make it, if all the resources are there, then all we really need to do is get the people together, and they can get a family history.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because I mean they hold your family history.
My grandfather, on my mother's side, my mother's father, the first day he wore a tie was the day he became a U.S. citizen.
Really?
Yeah. We've got the actual receipt that my mother's mother paid to cross the bridge when she came into America. It's like a nickel. It's a receipt for a nickel to come into America. And then she came in and became a citizen, and he was conscripted into Pancho Villa's when he was very young, and coming out of church, and when you came out of the back of the church, all the young men went this way and everybody else went that way. And there's some great stories about a bank robbery, and they got him out of jail dressed as a woman, and just some really cool stuff that would have been lost to history if we wouldn't have sit down and gotten this stuff from her. Super cool stories. My father's father helped to build the Bay Bridge, and when I was just a kid, gave me some of the tools that he used.
Right.
There's just, everybody has a family, everybody has a history. but so often it gets lost in the mix, and our lives are super busy today. Our lives are just, they're packed full of running around and there's social media and whatever it is. But it's a pet project of mine, and I've been lucky enough to be able to put it together and have people enthusiastic about it. More than an oral tradition, which is what we've had, for 1,000 years, we can, we can have my great-grandchildren sitting down looking at a video of me. When I'm still so pretty like I am now.
Right?
Hearing the stories, right?
Yeah, that would be, because we have the technology to do that now. We can just immortalize those stories.
Absolutely we do.
But another thing that you're doing with the college, coordinating with, is something you call the Reentry Project.
Yeah.
And so explain that one. How did that come about?
Man, I'll tell you what, Ken, my best friend in the world, one of my best friends in the world, my business partner, Danny Israel, he and I went to school at the IPOP program years and years ago, 13 years ago, something like that. And he was married to his wife, Dee Israel, at the time, and they'd been together since they were 16 or something.
Yeah.
And over time, she fell victim to alcohol.
Yeah.
And they ended up losing their marriage over it. And she struggled and finally ended up losing her life on the streets of Cortez.
Wow.
Getting hit by a vehicle. It wasn't like she didn't have people reach out to her or she didn't reach out to people. She did. But it just seemed like there was, maybe not a pathway, I guess.
Right.
So, and we've all experienced this. We all have friends. We all have family. We all have, we see the struggles that Farmington has had with trying to find a way for people who are homeless or people who are struggling with alcohol, and some on the streets are still on the streets. And so I've got this reentry idea that I've spoken with a lot of people with people within the structure of business in the San Juan County who are related to dealing with this and rehabbing people at some level. And
so what's the idea of the project? Like what would happen with a person?
So the idea is that they would have a pathway beyond just going someplace for a couple of days, right? Going someplace and sobering up, because they'll go to that place, they'll sober up, and then they will maybe connect with their family, get to talk with some family for a couple of days, and typically from there, they don't have any place to go or anything to do, and many of them have skills, marketable skills. Many of them want to go back to their family, but their family is done. Typically, their family, when the family's done with them, they end up forcing them out of the family unit, and they end up in the streets.
Right.
And so we can have them come from a facility where they've spent a couple days sobering up. They can then sit down, we can evaluate them. Hopefully by this time we've already had an evaluation, we know what their skill level is. And we can look at getting them a place to stay, a small vehicle. This all can be worked out through grants. I've talked to a couple local car lots who are willing to consider entering into this program. A couple of people who own some apartment buildings who are willing to consider apartment buildings and other types of residences who are willing to dedicate a couple of their units. And there'd be some standards that people would have to adhere to. They couldn't just come into the program and then not carry on.
Right.
Eventually, my hope is that people that are in this program will be able to, as they become more successful, as they are able to stand on their feet and present themselves to their peers. Really, that's pretty strong peer pressure from somebody who's struggled and made it out.
Right.
I've approached the college with it. We've got a meeting sometime in the next couple of weeks with Dr. Reyes, and we're looking at fleshing out the structure of that end of it. And the whole thing ends up being a program where people have a path that they can walk and be guided down.
Called the Reentry Project because
it's
re-entering them into the club of productive citizens.
Giving a person their pride back,
right,
is absolutely the number one thing that you can do for a person. It's just giving them their pride back and then allowing them to help somebody else get their pride back.
Man, that's why I like chatting with you. You've got like 1 million ideas. You're working on 500,000 of them. The others are just filed in there for now.
Yep.
And you're a promoter. You're a promoter for Farmington.
Yeah.
I mean, in various aspects, you're just you want Farmington to be better and everything, and so you're working to various ends to make that happen.
It's all there. And the beautiful thing about it is that in all these ideas, I don't know if it's quite 500,000 I'm working on. It might be, like, I don't know, 200,000. Yeah. The thing about it is when I approach different people to try and broker the idea, get them involved, ask them to take a little slice of the pie, let them know what we're doing and how it's going to affect everybody. Everybody says, yeah, let's do this. It's all there to happen, right? We just put together the ideas and the people and the structure and flesh out the base of it all, and then people become involved.
Yeah. Brilliant, man.
So
I love it. It's working. That's how stuff should work.
It is, and it's working.
It takes a community.
It takes a community. Yeah. Farmington's pulling for Farmington. Yeah. I'm happy to be part of it.
Right on, man.
Yeah. So,
I'm happy you are too.
Thank you for getting me out here.
Thanks for going on the ride with me.
I appreciate it.
Cool, man.
Ken's Think Tank is made possible with help from these fine sponsors: Basin Home Health and Hospice,